이거는 컴퓨터가 되게 작다. 노트 이게 탭 수준이에요.
그 제일 작은 거.
우리 어제 이 방에서 있어요?
예.
I think we're ready to get started. Good morning and welcome to everyone here and online. My name is Scott Snyder. I'm the President and CEO of the Korea Economic Institute. And we have a very good panel today on promoting economic cooperation at APEC against the backdrop of geopolitical uncertainty. And as you all know, this panel comes very shortly after the summit meeting between President Jinping and President Trump. And it also coincided with a closed-door discussion that we've been having together with colleagues from our sister institution, the Korea Institute of Economic Policy. And we have an excellent group of panelists who were participating in that meeting, and I'm very grateful to each of you for joining. As the title of this particular meeting suggests, what we really want to do is not necessarily focus on the summit itself, even though it occurred just 2 days ago, because that only gives us a snapshot of the relationship. And so what I really want to emphasize is the process of developing the relationship rather than just the event, because as we all know, at the meeting itself, President Lee invited President Trump to attend the APEC meeting, which is in about 2 months in South Korea in Gyeongju. And maybe there could also be another meeting on the sideline of the UN, we don't know. But the point is that that first meeting between President Trump and President Lee was the start of a process. And it also, I think, was significant because President Lee met President Trump as his Korean counterpart. And so it's very important. But it also is true that this process is occurring in the context of a lot of tumult and uncertainty. And some of that is about the geopolitical rivalry that is clearly increasing, and some of that is about the change in trade relations that has occurred under the Trump administration. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to delve into those aspects while also focusing on APEC and what might happen at the APEC meeting. And actually, I think the summit meeting opened a kind of universe of possibilities that some of us hadn't even considered. As President Trump and President Lee talked about other neighbors in the region and possible engagements with China and North Korea. So in order to guide us through that conversation, I want to actually, normally we don't give a full introduction to our panelists, but I do want to do that today. To my immediate left is Sang-Hyun Lee, Senior Research Fellow at Sejong Institute. He's also a board member of the Institute of Nuclear Materials Management, Korea, and a board member of the Asia Pacific Leadership Network for Nuclear Nonproliferation and Disarmament. He is the former president of Sejong Institute, with whom I worked often as a partner in my previous job at the Council on Foreign Relations. He has worked at the Korea Institute for Defense Analysis. He's a former Director General of Policy Planning at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, as it was called at that time, and has done a number of visiting fellowships, including here in DC at the Stimson Center. He's a graduate of SNU and a PhD holder in political science from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. To his left is Yoomyoung Hee, visiting professor at the Graduate School of International Studies at Seoul National University. And she's also a former Minister of Trade between 2019 and 2021, and had a 30-year career as a government official in various capacities in the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy. Those ministries keep on changing their names, so I always get nervous about whether I'm actually identifying it correctly. Also was very involved with KORUS and many other trade negotiations. During her term as trade minister, she played a pivotal role in shaping Korea's policies on emerging trade issues, such as global supply chains and green and digital trade. And she is also an SNU graduate and has a JD from Vanderbilt University Law School. And then Chung Chul is president of Korea Economic Research Institute and chief research officer at the Federation of Korean Industries. So he brings a scholarly and a private sector perspective to the discussion. Before joining FKI and KARI, he served as senior vice president of the Korea Institute of International Economic Policy, taught international economics as a professor in the School of Economics at Georgia Tech, and has served as a senior advisor both to the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy, and also worked here once upon a time at KIEP as a Washington, D.C. representative, and is a graduate, a PhD in economics from the University of Michigan. So I, in part, just wanted to read all of those bios in order to give credit to the alumni networks of some very distinguished universities here in the United States. So it's obvious that we have an eminently qualified panel. And so the way I really want to begin today, as I mentioned, we've just gotten finished with a snapshot in the relationship, a new start related to the U.S.-Korea relationship with the summit meeting between President Lee and President Trump. And so I just want to ask each of you, and we all really only know what we could see in public so far. So I'm interested in just what your impressions were of the meeting, what stood out to you. I'm not asking for an assessment so much as a picture of what really caught your eye and what you feel about the atmosphere here in Washington, having been here right at the moment of that particular meeting. And I'll start with Sonia.
Well, thank you, Scott, for unusually kind introduction. So we had a summit meeting just a few days ago, and my impression is that this was a good start, a very successful summit. Most importantly, there was no surprise. President Trump didn't ambush President Lee, and also there was not much surprise. So in that sense, we feel very relieved because we have watched what happened when Trump met with Ukraine President Zelensky and also with the President of South Africa. So if such things happen again, it would be a disaster, but it did not happen. Is it better? So I would say it's a good start, and also I would say the most important achievement was the meeting ended in a good atmosphere and laid the groundwork for friendly relationship between the two presidents. So, and I would say this because I know that in the U.S., particularly Washington circle, there was some concern or suspicion about politician Lee Jae-myung because he was known as the liberal in Korea and also a little bit left inclination. But at this time, I would say President Lee indeed approached with President Trump with a very pragmatic approach. So in that sense, I would say it's a good start and good meeting. And there was also many important achievements, like both nations agreed on 11 MOUs in 5 key manufacturing areas like shipbuilding and nuclear energy, aviation, LNG, and critical materials. But I think it's not an end of the story. We all know that in the summit, very rough idea about the future direction of the bilateral relationship was let down. But as you know, there will be a very long and tedious follow-up and negotiation between Korea and the United States. For example, tariff issue. And South Korea's pledge to invest $350 billion in the U.S. So we don't know yet how that will implement in the future. And also a very serious problem, the so-called modernization of the alliance. I would say the key point in alliance modernization is that United States want to change USFK's role from deterring North Korean threat to responding to more area-wide missions, like a tracking against China and responding to Taiwan contingency. And also another challenging issue may be Trump's North Korean approach. So still, I would say Trump is willing to have a summit meeting with the Kim Jong-un, but I'm not sure how much Kim Jong-un will accept Trump's invitation. So it's not the end of the story, and there will be long and very serious negotiation, follow-up negotiation will be continue between two countries. That's my impression.
It turns out that I'm the only one who needs this mic. Yours are working. So let me turn to Myung-hee for your impressions of the meeting so far.
Yeah, I actually share a lot of points that Dr. Lee just now mentioned. I also would say that the meeting, the summit, was a very positive first step. Now, given the tensions leading up to the meeting with some ministers and all three heads of presidential office making last-minute efforts in D.C., it was by no means guaranteed that the meeting would end smoothly. But the two leaders, they succeeded in setting the right tone, providing a platform for our relationship going forward. And especially on the trade front, because he covered very comprehensive view on various areas. I would like to focus my points on the trade front. And on the trade front, it was a relief that at least this meeting or this summit did not unravel the deal, even though it didn't improve it. So the basic framework remains intact, and it gives both sides room to focus on managing the details and follow-throughs in a more stable setting. And so overall, the summit did actually lay an important foundation. However, at the same time, we should note that there's no joint statement on the summit or no written document on the tariff deal yet. So maybe I'm not sure whether the government intentionally or the two governments intentionally chose to leave contested issues in constructive ambiguity, or is it just simply taking considerable amount of time and efforts to come up with even a few pages of aspirational documents without a binding agreement? But we learn from other countries' experience that the drafting a few page document can actually reveal different understandings and interpretations. So taken together, this tells us that the negotiations are far from over. And maybe in this new era, negotiation may even be never ending. So the summit was a very important first step in overall tone setting, but building on this good start, Korea and the U.S., we face more difficult task of translating this broad understanding into concrete outcomes and details that can take forward our relationship in forward-looking directions. So I would stop here.
Okay. Thank you, Myung-hee. Those are excellent points. Charlie?
Thank you, Scott, for inviting me here, and thank you for your very generous introduction. From the business side, for the summit, thank God, because the summit lifted some concerns here in Washington D.C. and also the uncertainties. As you know, so many Korean companies already have committed a lot of investment into the United States. And we still have some uncertainty and some concerns, whether these two governments of the U.S. and Korea are going to go together very well. But it seems like it's a very good start. And 2 days ago, I actually attended the event. Can I say that? I mean, that was hosted by CSIS. And President Lee said that he never worried about the summit. He knew that it was going to be going very smoothly and very well, because he read the book written by Mr. Trump. And at least I think the relationship, I mean the alliance, the summit actually underscored the ironclad alliance between the U.S. and Korea. And President Lee said that, okay, Sang-hyun also mentioned that modernization of alliance. So he wants to expand this alliance from security alliance to economic alliance, and even to the technology alliance. With the global supply chain, restructuring and realigning, I think it's very important for Korean companies and Korean economy to have good collaboration relationship with the United States, who is leading, the world in technology. Not to say the AI and some areas of the quantum computing and so on. So I think it's a very good relationship building right now, and I believe with this alliance, Korean businesses can actually do good business in the United States as well as in Korea, and probably with the good relationship, I think we might invite and attract some investment from the United States to Korea as well. And I think it was a very good start for the Gyeongju APEC meeting this year. Mr. Trump was saying very positively about President Lee's invitation.
Yeah, no, I think it was very clear in this meeting, maybe to a greater extent than previously, that Korea was emerging as a technology provider and a business partner to a greater degree than I've seen in an Oval Office meeting like that. So that's quite striking. I want to step back a little bit and look at the geopolitical context with Sang-hyun, because it does seem like there's a changed geostrategic environment. It's been developing for some years with a focus on the Sino-US competition, also in the context of the war in Ukraine. And all of this, I think, has an impact on South Korea and South Korean foreign policy going forward. And certainly it's a set of factors that President Lee has to contend with as he tries to shape and form his own foreign policy direction. So how would you describe the framework and principles that should guide South Korea's approach going forward, especially in navigating major power tensions?
Well, in every dimension, I would say uncertainty is the key characteristic of a global situation these days. So I will talk about a little more broader geopolitical context in which this year's APEC summit is held. So overall, we see recently in international order has been characterized by a weakening of the so-called rule-based international order. And also we see multilateral cooperation is being weakened in everywhere. Major global organizations and institutions do not seem to function properly. So in this sense, it is timely, very timely that the APEC summit is being held to discuss multilateral cooperation in the Asia-Pacific region. And of course, driving these changes are manifold. But I would say one is the changing U.S. role identity. And because of that, international relations or global order is changing to something we did not expect. And as you know, Trump, particularly under Trump leadership, United States role identity is changing. So yesterday in closed meeting, I asked myself, is the United States still a benign hegemon? I'm not quite sure. U.S. reputation and its status for legitimacy is weakening, and also trust is also weakening because of Trump's foreign policy. And we have known that United States has a kind of a system maker and privilege taker since the Second World War. United States has been championed the establishing a current rule-based international order, but it's changing completely. United States no longer put the bill for maintaining that kind of global institutions, and also the MAGA, Make America Great Again, is the leading principle in U.S. foreign policy. So that change in American role identity is immediately leading to the dismantling of the rule-based international order. So in this new order, we don't know what it will be for sure. But anyhow, at least we can say that money or power will dominate rather than norms, institutions, and rules. So I think that's not a very good phenomenon that many countries face. South Korea is not the exception. And also, we see sooner or later the collapse of the WTO free trade system and the coming of the so-called Turnberry system, as a U.S. Trade Representative James Greer said in New York Times article. So, Trump round, Turnberry system, is the somewhat different system that we used to prosper in the free trade system. So that's the kind of a big geopolitical context that I see these days. And of course, it's a big challenge for South Korea and I guess many other countries as well. So how to navigate this turbulent era. I think that will be a big challenge for South Korea and also many other countries. And because of these changes, multilateral cooperation and a open, rule-based trade environment are more important now than ever before. So APEC aims to facilitate greater connectivity and prosperity through free trade and more connection. So I would say this is a very important moment, and I hope that APEC can lead the many countries in the region through that passage.
Okay, well, you've actually set up for Myung-hee perfectly because I wanted to ask you about the Trump round and the implications for the rules-based order, because it feels like a lot of the old rules just got thrown out the window and now there's a new set of rules. And so I'm interested in what do you think are the features of this new trading environment and where do you think it is going to take us, and how can South Korea cope in that context? Because Turnberry actually, I think there were some South Korean negotiators at Turnberry trying to get a deal. Yes. That was announced shortly thereafter. Yeah.
It seems really hard to speak after Dr. Lee because he gave us, comprehensive overview, and I share a lot of points that he just made. I would try. So it seems that we are living through one of the most interesting and consequential periods in trade policy, more so than at any other point in my lifetime. For the last decade, the global trading order has been under stress. It's not new, with the multilateral trading system like the WTO struggling to function effectively. However, the arrival of the Trump administration with its sweeping, unprecedented unilateral tariffs has made it clear that we are not in a period of temporary deviation, but entering a new era. So Jameson Greer, USTR, he dubbed this as the Turnberry system, emerging in place of the WTO system. Whatever label we use, the reality is that a rules-based multilateral trading order is giving way to power-based system shaped by ad hoc bilateral deals and arrangements. So that is the reality. And also this is not just a passing disruption, but a more like the fundamental paradigm shift, reflecting a structural changes that has been going on and where security and geopolitics weigh heavily on trade and economic policies. And as a result, the principle of non-discrimination or predictability, which are the cornerstone, very cornerstone of the WTO, are now under strain. And as he said, uncertainty becomes a feature, not a bug. And it seems that the trade policies is no longer about maximizing opportunity, such as expanding trade and investment, but more about minimizing or mitigating the risks, often avoiding the worst case scenarios or outcomes. And this shift comes with a cost and with the trade-offs, higher costs for businesses and less confidence in investment, and also slower economic growth. And whatever the consequence is, the reality is this new environment is here to stay for the foreseeable future. Tariffs and unilateral measures at the center, security concerns increasingly intertwined with trade and economic policies, and risk management taking place of opportunity maximization. So going forward, as you said, the challenges for countries like Korea deeply dependent on trade, with our trade dependency exceeding 90%. The challenge for Korea is to adapt to this new environment, but at the same time to play a constructive and active role to rebuild some elements of new trading order, some elements of cooperation, if not multilaterally, perhaps plurilateral cooperation. So when I have a chance to go into the APEC details, I will further elaborate on this part, and let me stop here. Yeah.
Okay, well, I actually think I should ask you a follow-up, and Joel is going to get the same question, because you mentioned plurilateralism, and Mike Froman in Foreign Affairs had also mentioned that idea. And it does seem that APEC is at least positioned as a potential opportunity to apply that effort in some ways, but it's so complex. What do you see as ways in which APEC could help to start a process of building at least a plurilateral rules-based order for those who are willing to participate?
Yes, APEC's strength lies in its voluntary commitments, and also so that's why it has served as an incubator or a test bed for the new ideas. And in this era of uncertainty and fragmented trading environment, actually the rules-based order becomes not useless, but all the more important. And especially these areas, we are witnessing emerging trade issues where there is a vacuum, no global norms at all, like including AI, governance, and digital trade, and supply chain resilience and sustainability. So APEC could provide a perfect platform for members and economies to experiment with pilot initiatives and take on voluntary commitments and build some parameters, or set the parameters and build some elements of rules that can work across borders and among different economies. So in that sense, Korea hosting APEC 2025, will give a really important momentum for not only for Korea but for all other countries in the region to move from confrontation and friction to a new cooperation on the frontier trade issues. So I hope that Korea can play a leading role in shaping the new rules for emerging trade issues, and also making cooperation work across the economies.
So Michelle, I just want to ask you the same question. Where do you think are the opportunities for APEC to help begin in building a plurilateral settlement?
I agree with Minister Myung.
You can just stop there? No, you shouldn't.
Yeah, as Minister Yu also mentioned, that the APEC is not a battleground for binding negotiations. Rather, it's a platform for dialogue and cooperation. And APEC members, when they discuss the issues, it's non-binding and voluntary. And then it has the feature of the open regionalism. You know, whenever the something was agreed within the APEC, it is open to the other countries to join. So it's a very flexible forum, international forum. It's not an organization. So I think that's the right place for any kind of this. But 20 years ago, Korea hosted APEC 2005. At the time, the theme of the APEC was towards one community, right? Meet the challenge, make the change. At that time, the global trading system or the landscape was quite different from today. And we could talk about towards one community. We talked a lot about the free trade areas of Asia Pacific, and main focus was on the trade and investment liberalization. And through that, we have actually had a lot of the benefits out of the globalization and free trade and so on. Now, I don't know, even with this flexible system of APEC, it's very difficult to come up with the one voice. And sometimes we could not produce the declaration because some member economies have different ideas. They could not come up with the conclusion. But hopefully, this year's summit, the leaders' declaration could come, and there's the role for Korea to recover some sort of the rules-based system. But according to James Robinson, we invited to Korea for the 32nd PCC PEC general meetings. PCC is actually preceded APEC, and PCC is a kind of tripartite, including some government, like Minister Yu and academia.
Economic Cooperation Council, is that right? PECC?
Pacific Economic Cooperation Council.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
So
it has the business, government, and academia. So we have academia, government and business as well. So anyway, so we talk a lot about that. And then Professor Robinson, who won the Nobel Prize in economics, he suggested maybe APEC could be the right place to find a way forward for this kind of the new trading system. Maybe we can go with the United States, or maybe we can find a way. I mean, actually, some other countries, excluding the United States, are already doing some sort of the cooperation endogenously. For example, CPTPP. Korea might join the CPTPP, and United Kingdom has already joined CPTPP, and EU is.
Just for the people who might not know the acronym, that's the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Yeah, you know that. Yeah, correct. Yeah, so actually that's kind of plurilateral, platform. So I think where the U.S. actually, when Trump became the president the first time, he withdrew from TPP. At the time, we didn't have a CP because at the time it was just basically simple Trans-Pacific partnership. Anyhow, so I think maybe there are some ways we can find within the APEC with the United States, China, even Russia are members. And I think the Korea can actually play a role as a kind of credible mediator.
May I add just now, because he just reminded me of my experience with APEC. As he said, exactly 20 years ago, Korea hosted APEC in Busan, and at that time I was directly engaged in trade policy as a newly appointed director of FTA policy, and that was exactly the year when the idea of Korea-US FTA was born and take to shape. So the atmosphere was one of optimism. There was a hope that APEC members could achieve also their own high-level, high-quality FTAs, and they could serve as pathways to achieve Bogor goals. Now, the environment could not be more different. As I said, the WTO system is in crisis, and members or countries are acting outside the rules-based trading system. But because of that reason, it is all the more important for APEC to play a certain role in coming up with some soft laws, because WTO is not producing any binding agreement, hard laws, but APEC's role to produce cooperation platform mechanisms and also soft law becomes all the more important in this turbulent environment, because as a country who benefited from rules-based trading system, we should not lose sight of the benefits that that system can bring, and APEC can be a starting point. The original multilateral trading system, we may not restore that system in an original form, but APEC can experiment with some new initiatives and new pilot projects to shape the new trade rules and norms that can govern emerging trade issues, and also that can govern a lot of countries, if not multilaterally.
Her remarks remind me of my old days. But yeah, we'll come back maybe. I can talk about we can talk about some free trade agreement as well.
Well, no, I want to deviate from my original plan to ask both of you about that, because following the U.S. Korea tariff framework announcement, a lot of people are asking, does it mean that KORUS is dead or alive? The Korea-US FTA. And so I'd like both of you to let us know your prognosis for it.
Would you like to go first?
Gentlemen first.
Thank you. In his introduction, actually, I worked here in Washington, D.C. A long time ago for the ratification of Korea-US FTA. We made a deal, but then there was the 2008, global financial crisis. So actually, that the KORUS FTA could not be ratified in the United States. And at the time, I came here, as a member of the KITA, the chief economist, and I worked for the ratification with the Korean embassy here, and also with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and also KEI. So we did a lot of the outreach programs, and we traveled a lot with the ambassador and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce members and so on. And at the time, we tried to persuade the American public and about the win-win deal of the KORUS FTA, because Korea had to reduce or eliminate much higher tariff rates, and then for U.S. the average tariff rate is about 2 or 3%, right? So I think it was immediate gain for the American companies who can come to Korea. And then, Americans asked me, why would Korea do this then? Then we say that we'd like to upgrade the economy-wide system to the level where the U.S., which is the most advanced country in the world, right? Much more, sophisticated, country. So that's that's a win-win deal. And then when Trump came, and he even threatened to get rid of this KORUS FTA, And at the time, I came with the Minister Yu Myung-hee to USTR to present, why this KORUS FTA has been win-win, even if, Korea got some more trade surplus. But as an economist, especially trade economist, bilateral trade balance doesn't really mean anything, right? You have to look at the whole. But the problem with the United States is that U.S. is running, all the time the trade deficit, right? Maybe that's also because of the U.S. is the providing the U.S. dollar-based international reserve system. So anyway, I think it's very unfortunate that this time with this tariff negotiation with the Trump administration, Korean negotiation team tried to bring this KORUS FTA and the spirit and also the tariff rate, but the Trump administration didn't seem to be paying much attention to it. So right now it seems like the KORUS FTA is not working, but still I do not think it is dead, because we can still have this communication channel through the KORUS FTA. So I think in the near future, hopefully, we can have some communication through the KORUS FTA and come up with the better deal for this countries.
So it sounds like you're saying it's kind of on life support.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
We have this KORUS FTA. She knows better, right? The committee.
Yes. Myung-hee?
Yes, as you said, the KORUS FTA has a lot of implementation committees at a working level and across the different chapters of the agreement. And also at the same time, it has other elements or other commitments in services, investment, and various areas of rules. So I still see some merits in the KORUS FTA. And also I hope that when or as U.S. trade concerns are alleviated or addressed to some extent, I hope that we could go back to the spirit of the free trade embodied in KORUS FTA. So it's still out there, and we should always make efforts to go back to the spirit of free trade embodied in KORUS FTA, and at the same time find ways to further improve what we have agreed in the KORUS FTA. Yeah.
Okay, well, Sang-hyun has been very patient. I'm going to ask you to be a little bit more patient, because I'm going to come back to you, but I need to ask Chul first about APEC, the APEC Business Advisory Committee, and we know there's a CEO summit connected with APEC. And I'm just want you to give us some picture of what we can expect that might happen. Is that a place where there can be a lot of deals among the Asia-Pacific economies? What sort of expectations should we have for the private sector dimension of the APEC meeting?
I think the Korea is aligning the business engagement with the APEC priorities, right? And as you mentioned, that there's going to be a APEC CEO summit. It's October 28th and 29th and so on. And it will gather global leaders in business, and also it will give the Korean companies the chance to expand their global networks. And the areas, maybe, this month actually in Incheon, there was a digital and AI ministerial. And right now in Busan, there's the Energy Super Week is going on. So they highlight the opportunities in some areas like semiconductors, batteries, hydrogen, and some clean energy. And in addition to that, I think there are many other side events actually alongside the CEO summit. And this, let me see. Actually, during the APEC Som 3 in Incheon, senior officials actually went to a baseball game. This is the first time ever in the APEC meetings, this such of the cultural diplomacy. So, what began as an evening of KBO cheers and chimek, you know what chimek is, chicken and beer, they actually evolved into a new form of high-level dialogue linking Korea's cultural assets with economic cooperation. So I think this is a symbolic moment, show that soft power and everyday culture can open fresh pathways for trust and collaboration in the Asia Pacific.
Okay, well, if you're announcing the APEC baseball organization, that will get a lot of attention. Let me shift back to Sang-hyun, because this is going to be the first major multilateral meeting that the Lee Jae-myung administration is going to be responsible for. And it means that there are a lot of national leaders who are going to be attending, including presumably President Xi, possibly President Trump. How do you think that, what should be South Korea's strategy for handling that dimension? Because on the one hand, you have APEC, but it's entirely possible that the Trump-Xi encounter could overshadow everything. And then there are even these other permutations that were introduced earlier this week in the Oval Office meeting. Would Xi and Trump fly together to Beijing or somewhere else? Is Kim Jong-un going to participate? All those issues pop up again as a result of that conversation.
Well, first of all, I would say that if both Trump and Xi Jinping come to Korea, it's a good thing. They can have a more conversation about the turbulent global order these days. And of course, there are a lot of issues between U.S. and China. We all know that. And also, but still, both Trump and Xi Jinping not finalized is coming to Korea. So Korean government will continue its diplomatic efforts to bring both of them to Gyeongju. And Kim Jong-un, I'm not sure. Even though Lee Jae-myung may send an invitation to Kim Jong-un, but I don't believe he will come. So that's my first reaction. And I think this year APEC summit has a very many important meanings. First of all, for example, I think that this will be a good opportunity to show the world that South Korea is back in normal track. And also it's a chance to show South Korea's resilience of South Korean democracy. And also this will be a good chance to demonstrate that South Korea has a capacity to provide leadership for declining multilateralism. As you know, recently South Korea went through a very chaotic period. December last year, former President Yoon Suk-yeol tried to impose a martial law, but failed. And because of that, he was impeached. And South Korea had an early presidential election in June this year. So that's quite a chaotic period. South Korea was like a ship navigating a high sea without a captain. But now the situation is over. And because of that, naturally, there's a lot of concern raised about preparation of the APEC summit. Even some people argue that South Korea should cancel hosting this year's APEC summit. But I think that Lee Jae-myung government is handling the issue, the event, and the preparation is going smoothly, even though it is 2 months away. But I know that the preparation is in full way. And think about the theme of this year's summit, building a sustainable tomorrow, connect, innovate, prosper. I think that's quite a key theme, and I think that's shows the good direction of this meeting quite well. Connect, because of the crumbling global trade order, and also because of the tariff and many other barriers to the international trade. Connectivity is the important thing. And also innovate, because we are living in artificial intelligence and many other good things are in shapes. And also prosper, because of declining global prosperity. I think also all these themes are well shaped, and I would say South Korea can provide some leadership to implement these ideas in the APEC summit. So this year's APEC summit comes at a time when economies in the Asia Pacific region are facing a unprecedented uncertainty and also geopolitical turbulence and the U.S.-led tariff war. So this is one of the common background that many Asia-Pacific countries must face together. And I hope that this APEC summit meeting, many countries come to Gyeongju and frankly discuss some of the common effort to overcome these difficulties.
Okay. Sang-hyun, I want to ask you one follow-up, and then I'm going to open it up to the audience for questions so you can get ready. The question I want to ask you, because you mentioned about this transition, also APEC itself is going to transition from Korea to China in 2026 following the leaders meeting. Do you see any potential impact or opportunities related to that transition connected to the China-South Korea relationship?
Well, overall, I know that Lee Jae-myung government is trying to improve Korea-China relations. You know that the former President Yoon Suk-yeol had a very distancing policy against China, and even some of the Yoon Suk-yeol supporters, particularly ultra-right political section in Korea, they intentionally raised the so-called conspiracy theory that China intervened in South Korea's election process. So this is one episode, and because of that, Korea-China relations has been pretty bad. And Yoon Suk-yeol President Lee Jae-myung understand that the potential of the Korea-China relations and try to improve this. And as you said, next year China will host the APEC summit. So because of that, many Korean people believe Xi Jinping will come to Gyeongju this year. I'm not sure Trump will come, but anyhow, I think that's some connection. And because of that, China will be also welcoming Lee Jae-myung government's improved stance toward China. And I hope that this will be a good chance to improve Korea-China relations in the coming years.
Okay. Well, I want to open the floor open for questions. So if you have a question, we've got several over here on this side. So why don't we start right here and then go to the gentleman in the middle.
Thank you. Yeah, my question.
And please, I'm sorry, please identify yourself.
Yeah, my name is David Gossick. Nice to see you again. And former president of the U.S. Korea Business Council. My question regards RCEP. Korea is a signatory to RCEP. Many of the APEC members that will be in Korea in October are signatories to RCEP. I'm wondering if under the new trading environment, whether RCEP will play a bigger role in intra-Asian trade. And if I could just ask a second related question is, I understand that within the last week, there's been an economic delegation that was from Korea that was in Beijing with a message from President Lee to President Xi. I'm wondering if you have any insights as to what that might entail. Thank you.
Okay. Who wants to take the RCEP question? Does any?
Well, ICEP is composed of 15 different members, including 10 ASEAN countries, Korea, China, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. So one of the biggest mega FTAs in the region. So that's why Korea participated in ICEP from the beginning and contributed to really closing the deal until the last minute. So as you know, ICEP has been implementing its tariff elimination, which normally takes place over the period of time, like 10 years. I think I think we will see more and more integration or expansion of trade and investments based on the ICEP. So ICEP plays a very important role in Korea and also in the region. But at the same time, Korea is expanding its FTA networks, not only with ICEP members, but with other emerging markets, including countries in Southeast Asia or Central Asia, Africa, Middle East or Latin America, because what we found is that in this era of uncertainty and fragmentation, diversification is very important to make our economy more resilient. So that's why Korea is actively engaged in new Southern policy or Global South engagement policy. So we will pursue expanding our trade network, our trade and investment network with many more emerging countries, including our ICEP members. But at the same time, I believe that in that sense, it is really the right time, right moment for Korea to explore joining the CPTPP. This has been dormant for several years, but now, given the changed trade environment, it just now has a renewed. It draws renewed attention among business people as well as trade experts. So I hope that Korea could also explore joining the CPTPP as well.
Can I?
Absolutely.
Can I add? I'd like to provide a little bit different angle. Do you think the Korea has a trade agreement with Japan? No? So if the Korean government is trying to make a bilateral trade agreement with Japan, probably there could be some resistance from some industries and some other sectors as well. And then maybe it's true if the Korea tries to get in the CPTPP, but we already are in RCEP. Both of these two countries are in RCEP. Then what happened? Because the RCEP, the level of trade liberalization is at a very low level, because it includes some countries like LDCs in Asia, ASEAN, right? So it's very difficult for them to be very, like full-blown trade liberalization like the KORUS FTA. And that's why there's not that much impact in terms of the trade. But I think the RCEP has a value because it provides a framework. It's a first ever Asian trade agreement, right? So I think that provides a great, framework for the economic cooperation among the members, and we are going to be building, from that framework.
Okay, and then also current diplomatic or private sector communications between Seoul and Beijing. Do you all have any information on that? I think the speaker was there.
No, I was in DC.
Yeah. You're in DC. Yeah.
We were all in
DC. We're all far away. Okay. Let's go to the next question right here in the middle.
Okay. Thank you. KI hosting this wonderful event. I'm Namtae Joshua Park, retired Navy captain, and also affiliate faculty at George Mason University. Today is a very nice on-time event regarding South Korea and Korean Peninsula. I have two questions. First question is a very comprehensive question, recap question, and second question will be a specific question. Then first question is, I think that it is a very good time for me to ask this question that some of you have been high top officials of South Korea who respond for trade policy in Korea. Then this is a very good time to ask a question. My first question is, what are the appropriate trade policy in the midst of turbulence in this current situation? As you talk about today, APEC is, based on free trade. However, these days Trump policy, I think, they don't like such a free, trade principle. Even worse, they counterstream those of, trade principle. Actually, they are breaking such a principle, I am guessing. Then second question is about MAGA. As you all see, MAGA is Make America Shipbuilding Again, Great Again, which is my interest area. Then question is, how could we make MAGA project successful? Because inside of South Korea, some people argue or wonder or doubt that MAGA project will produce mutual gain. Then trade based on produce or generate mutual gain. So some people believe that MAGA will be benefit to pay off to America, not vice versa. Then this argument same happened inside Japan too. Thank you very much.
Okay, who wants to take that?
Or maybe we can collect all the questions.
Okay,
Or I can take care of the appropriate trade policy.
okay. Why don't you go ahead and say
Okay.
something about that briefly?
Yeah, so I will try to answer your first question, maybe MAGA question. I would ask Dr. Lee or other experts to jump in. And regarding the appropriate trade policy, of course, our first immediate priority for the last several months was to respond to unilateral tariff measures, because this is really unprecedented high level of tariffs, something that we have not experienced in our whole lifetime. Right now it's 18.3%, highest level since 1934. So how to alleviate our any damages that our business could incur. So immediate priority was to address our business concerns regarding the U.S. Tariff measures. That was the immediate concern. However, beyond this trade deal, if this new era is here to stay for the foreseeable future, we need further strategy to cope with this changing environment. So I would name just two things. I briefly touched upon diversification. Korea's export depend on the two big countries like the U.S. and China, almost like the 40%, almost 40%, and that's a lot. So in this era of geopolitical uncertainty and geopolitical competition, it's always helpful for Korean economy withstand these difficult times if we could make our economy more resilient, and diversification is a good way of doing that. So that's why we are expanding our trade and investment networks with emerging countries in global south. So that's one thing. But another thing is, I also briefly mentioned this when I talked about APEC, the merits of APEC. Even though we cannot restore the old multilateral trading system like the WTO in its original form, but still there is a really advantage and benefits in rules-based trading system. So if we could rebuild even some elements of the new order, whether you call it a tumbler system or a double Trump round, if we could build some elements of some emerging issues in a different form with perhaps like-minded countries first, and we could later expand this to global adoption. But if Korea could play a role in rebuilding some elements of the rules and setting the parameters and developing guidelines, that could be really helpful, not only Korean economy, but many other economies around the world. So as a middle power, open trading nation, I believe Korea has to play such a role in the coming months and years. Yes, I will stop.
Okay, and
I think, I agree with the Mr. Yu, but when you look at the history of the international trade, the past, maybe 50 years or 75 years have been the special case, with this globalization. But now I think it's more of the selective globalization. So the trade policy is going to be, according to that. And as for your question about MAGA, you mentioned, maybe you refer to MASCA.
Correct.
Yeah. Make America's shipbuilding great again, right?
It's MAGA.
Yeah. So
I
it's
was wondering whether
MASCA.
the S was silent.
Right. And I get that it's not just about MASCA, but in many other, the negotiations and deals, and maybe some general public might have some concerns. Like for example, a lot of Korean companies invest into the United States, and that actually poses some concerns for the Korean, labor workers, and every Korean people say that. Well, what about the domestic investment in Korea? All the companies, Korean companies, go out to invest abroad. Then there's going to be less jobs available in Korea and less investment available. But I don't think they are kind of the competing with each other, right? Because instead of making investment in the United States, if they increase their investment in Korea, for example, and with this the protectionism and with the tariffs, there are no ways for those Korean companies can export. Then the more production in Korea, right? There's no way that they can sell. So inventories are going to be accumulating, and so on. That's why the Korean companies cannot invest in in Korea, and they see some opportunities in the United States. By investing here, they can actually provide, they can sell those products and so on. So I don't think the MASCA is only benefiting the United States. But rather, I think the Korean companies and Korean economy gets benefit out of that. And when you look at the free trade agreement as well, when you look at the KORUS FTA, for example, so who's going to get more benefit? It's not like the zero-sum game, right? So the free trade will actually increase the pie, so that it's going to be a win-win deal.
Sang-Hyun, did you want to add anything or not?
Well, I agree much about what Dr. said. MASCA is a good idea to negotiate with the U.S. So I believe the South Korean government took that MASCA as one of the cards that it can play with Trump. But as you see, as you know, there's a lot of controversy in Korea. So if South Korean shipbuilding companies invest in U.S., what about the South Korean shipbuilding industry? So that's the kind of a dilemma for South Korea. And also, I would say United States is quite very critically need the South Korean shipbuilding capacity. As you know, United States cannot afford that kind of a infrastructure. So that's the good thing. But still, I believe there's a lot of a discussion what can be actual collaboration. For example, South Korea build a part of the ship and sent it to the U.S. and reassembled there. Or South Korea can purchase some of the shipyard in the U.S., like Hana did at Philly shipyard. And also, South Korea builds the ship in Korea without key component of the combat system and send it to U.S. So there are many options, but I'm not sure. That's still discussion.
Let me add one more thing. I mean, the shipbuilding industry, Korea used to be the leader, the world leader. Right now, who is the leading the shipbuilding? China, way ahead. And it's a great opportunity for Korea in shipbuilding industry to have the collaboration with the United States. So there are some need-based, the call for the collaboration from the United States, and Korea has a merit in the shipbuilding industry experience and capacity in terms of the manufacturing. Okay. So I think there are some ways that both countries can gain out of this collaboration.
Let's try to take another couple of questions. We've got one over here. Actually, I am going to just bundle a few questions together. So this will be probably our last round. Yong-sub.
Thank you for your nice presentation, and I got some idea to help you. And I had experience in.
Please identify yourself.
Yeah, I'm Yong Span, former vice president of Korean National Defense University. But I got idea from your presentation that we had a good experience. South Korea has a smart power and soft power in hosting the international meeting to be successful, right? Second Nuclear Security Summit held in 2012. At that time, Obama administration hosted the first one, and second one was South Korea hosted. And then we divided into 3 groups: summit meeting and nuclear industry CEO meeting, and also nuclear expert meeting. So we developed very serve agendas for each meeting, and depending on the agenda, we invited experts from all over the world, and also the industry CEOs and summit. At that time, we invited Hu Jintao and Medvedev. They all came, so it became very successful international meeting. So in
Do you have
doing
a question, or
yeah,
is-
planning for the APEC, this is a very good timing for exert South Korea's leading role in hosting international meeting, and you devise those groups and also inviting young industry leaders to the committee, and then bring up some specific agendas depending on the committees. Then you bring up all the good recommendations to be reflected in the summit meeting, joint statement, something like that. Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
we'll
give
just
you
treat
ideas.
that as a comment, as a suggestion, and then move on right here in the middle.
Hi, Professor Jason Lee from Korea University, and thanks for a great insight. With 2 fingers crossed, I hope the forthcoming APEC meeting will set another path for economic and trade cooperation in the region, and also the global cooperation. But my question is, vis-a-vis 20 years ago in Busan, well, we are in a totally different kind of international trade setting. And a lot of APEC members have recently set or are setting their respective trade deal with the United States with different tariffs. So this meeting will be a set of very different and very diverse interests, especially in relation to the United States. There will be United States, there will be China, hopefully, and there will be Japan, Korea, and many other countries. So what will be the least common denominator for this discussion? We have discussed about all the hopeful settings, but well, at some point we have to do the reality check, and so will it be the moment of what we are seeing, the great American captain still arguing for the great MAGA, or will we see the Avengers to defend the free trade scheme? So I'm interested in the common denominator possible in the forthcoming meeting. Thank you.
Okay, a very good question. We've got one more in the middle and the back.
Thank you, Dr. Lee, you and Chang, for your wonderful presentation. My name is Ki-seok Lee. I'm an active duty Army officer in the Republic of Korea, as well as a graduate student in Georgetown University. My question is, how would this chaotic and uncertain global order in terms of economy and trade policy impact the security in East Asia, and especially in the Korean Peninsula? What are the implications? And lastly, what are your thoughts on how should Republic of Korea tailor its national security policy to follow with his chaotic system?
Okay, I think I'll just let each panelist comment on each of those two questions, starting with Sang-Yan.
Well, Ki-seok, you raised a very tough question. South Korea, many people in Korea are very concerned about what will be the South Korea's survival strategy in this turbulent year. I personally recommend the three pillars for South Korea's national strategy. One is the self-reliance, because even though South Korea's security is still heavily associated with the United States, but United States cannot solve every security problem of Korea. So self-reliance is the first thing that South Korea should invest, either in hard power like a military power, or soft power and economic power, everything. So self-reliance is the number one principle in this turbulent era. And of course, this is quite natural because United States will not automatically come to rescue any allies or partner of the United States. And second pillar is the solidarity. We are passing through a very turbulent global order. And if you are alone, you cannot survive. So solidarity is important, but with who and for what? What kind of solidarity do you choose? You should pursue. I would say that as the rule-based international order is retreating, maybe we need some good partnership or coalition to continue in that direction. The so-called coalition of like-minded countries. So which country South Korea can work with? China, Japan, Canada, Australia, with similar political values and similar circumstances. And third one is the engagement. What I mean by engaging is that South Korea should open or expand its diplomatic horizon toward the so-called global South. Even though still South Korea's, for Korea, alliance importance and solidarity with the like-minded countries is important, but South Korea should open a little more toward the global South countries, which is less like-minded countries with South Korea. So because of that, I support the Lee government is trying to improve its relationship with either China and Russia, but it depends on how much skillfully actually Lee government handle those issues.
Okay. Young-gi?
So are we supposed to take any questions that I like? So yeah, because I was really your comments were so impressive. So I was taking note of your three ways, like the self-reliance, solidarity, and engagement, and forgot what to answer from the questions. But I appreciate your suggestions on how to structure the meeting to be successful, to produce successful outcomes. And actually, APEC has really a structured system. APEC has the senior officials meeting first to discuss those issues at a working and practical level, and then they have a ministers meetings. But most importantly, they also have a CEO summit, and this is especially important to discuss emerging trade issues. And this year, under this year's APEC, Korea is particularly trying to achieve, among many others, make achievement on two initiatives. First one is digital trade and AI. How to help each members of the APEC harness the potential of AI, and also how to build a sustainable AI infrastructure, and also how to avoid fragmentation, regulatory fragmentation in regard to AI rules. So in that regard, it's very important to have a close collaboration between companies, private sector companies, and the government. And Korea can really provide not only the good platform and venue for that, but we also have very strong companies which are harnessing the AI technology as well. So with this structured form, first initiative on AI and second initiative on sustainable and resilient supply chains, Korea can provide not only the platform but also the real opportunity for collaboration between private sector companies and the government. That is my answer to your good suggestion. And least common denominator, or whatever it is, we might still have some tariff frictions at that time. So each country might have some bilateral issues going on with the U.S., and it might be hard to achieve any forward-looking agenda, progress in forward-looking agenda. But hopefully, if we can settle some of the bilateral or some of the unilateral tariff issues by that time, it's really about time for members to discuss what comes next. What should be the future shape of, future contour of new rules or new order. So I'm not saying that we can agree on complete elements of the future new trading order, whether you call it temporary system or a WTO system. Something must be born out of this new chaotic period of time, and we could build some building blocks. We could establish some building blocks on the future trading order on APEC, and APEC could be the starting point to move forward our discussion in that direction, and Korea could play a leading role in making progress in that area. So I will stop here. Yeah.
I'd like to answer the Professor Lee Jae-sung's question about the least common denominator in APEC maybe. These days, in the center of the trade policy, there's economic security and the global supply chain. But in with the rivalry between the United States and China, we cannot really talk about much about the economic security issue in the APEC. But like the minister you mentioned, and Putrajaya vision for 2040, actually it replaces the Bogor goals, and I think there are some ways for the APEC to play as a kind of the regional forum for especially digital economy and innovation with the technology. So we can actually pursue. And in the past, actually the APEC, because we have the non-binding voluntary commitment, so we actually initiated this environmental goods, the sort of agreement within the APEC, so that we could voluntarily lower the tariffs on the environmental goods less than 5% in 2012. That actually led to the WTO EGA, the Environmental Goods Agreement negotiation. So that's a very good example and a good case for the APEC to be innovation incubator of the ideas and the test bed. And as for the Professor Han's suggestion about having youth, the next generation leaders involved in this whole process, I think the CEO summit might be doing something. I don't know exactly, but 2 weeks ago I hosted the PECC, the Pacific Economic Cooperation Council general meeting with the KIEP president, Dr. Ishiu, and we kind of revived the youth program, the next generation program. Actually, PEC general meetings usually had this youth delegation and so on, but when we go through the COVID and so on, so for the past several years, actually PEC did not invite the next generation leaders. But this year, we revitalized that, and many PEC member economies actually appreciated the revival. And I hope that this continues in China next year.
Okay, well, thank you. I have one last question for the panel, and it's not a trick question, but it does involve prediction. And I just want one line from each of you. What is the most significant or surprising or interesting development that you expect will come out of APEC 2025 leaders meeting or other meetings in Korea? And I'm going to start with Cho. It doesn't have to be serious. Or okay, I'll tell you what. I'll give you mine first. I believe that President Trump may reciprocate Lee Jae-myung's visit to a shipyard. I think that he will go to a Korean shipyard while he was in Korea, if he goes. So what is your prediction? It doesn't have to be, as you can see, it doesn't have to be serious. That's the main point.
I don't know. I mean, actually, when we decided the location of the summit, Gyeongju, which is a very important and beautiful city, right? And with the great tradition and all the treasures. But I don't know whether Mr. Trump actually he runs some hotel business, right, as well. So, many people wonder where he's going to be staying, because there are not many good hotels in Gyeongju, and there could be some cruise ships around. So maybe he might. I don't know.
Okay. President Trump may stay on a cruise ship. Okay, Young-hee?
You said that this is not a serious question, but I am a very serious person. So
it can
my
be
answer,
serious,
yeah, but my answer would be just not is a typical former government official's answer. So I would say that APEC could achieve both substantive and symbolic, make both substantive and symbolic achievements. So, in terms of substantive achievements, maybe some new initiatives on AI and supply chains that could lay the foundation for broader cooperation and broader norms. But also APEC is really well known for some leaders meeting. So sometimes APEC is the place where breakthroughs can happen between major countries. And so I hope that this might be the Korea could host the first face-to-face meeting between, for example, U.S. and China in years, and then some breakthroughs, take place in APEC and makes headlines. So that is what I have watched on the margins of APEC meeting. So at any rate, Korea could provide a platform for members connect, innovate, and prosper through that kind of a process. Yeah.
Excellent, you're on message. Okay, Sang-hee.
Well, no surprise. That will be the key to success in preparing the APEC summit. And of course, there are many ways that, even though we cannot guarantee the smooth operation and organization of the meeting, but anyhow, I think that's the first test case for President Lee Jae-myung's international leadership. So I hope that he can show the world that he's indeed a pragmatic leader, and he's in a good position to lead the Asian community in the right direction. And of course, we can organize many sideline events. How many leaders come?
I'm not sure exactly.
There are 21 members.
21 members.
But some of the international organizations, they come as well.
So how many golf team can be run?
Okay, golf outing. Who knows? We may be surprised.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do want to take the opportunity to thank our panelists for coming all the way from Korea. You have one last comment?
I just left this surprise to Sang-hyun, but he didn't mention. Maybe Kim Jong-un's appearance might be a surprise, but I think I mentioned once The leaders' declaration is very important achievement.
Okay. Well, that definitely would be a surprise, and we will definitely cover it if it happens here at KEI. So please join me in thanking our panelists for coming all the way from Korea. Thank you so much. Our meeting is adjourned.